Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Caitlin Seagraves, and I run the Tech Talk series that we are doing weekly here on Zoom for Tulsa City-County Library. This week, we are going to be talking about Canva, which is a free online design tool. I'm happy to introduce Alex. Alex is a communication specialist with the library. She runs a lot of our social media channels, as well as does like press releases, and is just all around an awesome person. If you guys have questions for Alex, you can be sure to drop them in the chat at the bottom of the screen. I will kind of ask as we go along, and then we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A. Next week, we are going to have a class on library resources for the job hunt. So if you know anybody who might be searching for a job in the coming months, as I'm sure there are lots more than there were just a few months ago, Ellen Knoll will be teaching that class, and we are definitely looking forward to it. I will be recording this talk today and make it available on the library's YouTube channel. So I will email that out to everybody that registered. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Alex.
Hello, thank you everyone for joining this Tech Talk, Canva 101. I'm excited to tell you about Canva because I use it a lot for work. I'm a communication specialist at the library, as Caitlin mentioned. I use Canva mostly for social media content, but we use it for signage, newsletters, and a lot of other promotional materials. So if you want to, in the chat, let us know what you're hoping to get out of Canva or what you think you'll use it for, and whether you've had any graphic design experience. I'm kind of just curious to know where everyone's at and what you're looking to do with Canva. So how this class is going to work, and while you're all letting me know what you're going to do with Canva, I'll just explain how this class is going to go. We'll talk about what Canva is and what you can do with it. Hopefully, as I talk about some of the things that I use Canva for, and we see some of the designs you can make, and we talk about applications of designs, you'll get a sense of what Canva can do for you. We'll talk about all of the awesome learning resources that Canva offers. It has really extensive tutorials and its own design school, which is really helpful. Then we'll look at the home page and the design page, and then we'll actually start designing.
So it looks like some of our responses so far, we have somebody who is hoping to manage their mom's Instagram account, and they're hoping to use it for presentations and business pitches.
Cool. All things that you'll definitely be able to do with Canva.
We've also got somebody who is working on designing nutrition education materials to post on their social media. Somebody from a nonprofit who wants to kind of up their social media game, and then school stuff. So kind of a wide range.
Yeah, pretty good range. I'm glad that a lot of people are interested in social media because all of the things you can do in Canva, you can make print materials, but some of the digital aspects are more fun. So we'll kind of focus on that. All right, so Canva is a graphic design platform. It's really user-friendly, which makes it great for inexperienced designers, but all of its extensive tools make it really good for experienced designers as well. You can use Canva to create pretty much any print or digital item you can think of. Lesson plans, any type of social media post from Instagram to Twitter to Facebook, menus, t-shirts, invitations, reports. It's pretty limitless, the possibilities you can do with a Canva design. You can use it for team and brand building, as a learning resource, which we'll look at next, and you can actually use it as a printing service, which we'll talk about just a little bit. So to get started, you'll need to make an account. And in order to sign up for the free account, you need an email address. So if you are in this class, you're already halfway there. But there's really no reason not to make a free account. It really is free. They're not going to trick you into buying anything, and there's a lot you can do. As a library employee, the library, we do subscribe to a pro account. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the pro features that I use regularly, but I made a free account for the purposes of this class. So we'll mostly focus on all things you can do in the free version. But if you're interested in looking at the different account options and price tiers, you'll just go to canva.com/pricing. And this page has a really detailed breakdown of the differences between these three types of accounts. if you are a nonprofit or a school or an educator, you might actually qualify for a free pro account. So I would recommend exploring these options at the bottom of this page and seeing if you could get a pro account for free. And then they have some helpful FAQs about account basics on this page. So once you sign up for a free account or whichever account you need, and there's really no reason not to go ahead and get a free account and just play around, see what you can do with it, I recommend looking at the Learning tab. This is where some of the really awesome learning resources are housed. So they have courses and tutorials in the design school. Courses are more like videos that show ways to use your Canva designs and other information for graphic design help, branding, using Canva in the classroom, etc. The tutorials are more Canva specific. They're more like guides that will show you how to navigate and use Canva and all of its tools. You'll see here Canva for Education. When we get to the design part of this class, we'll actually go through some of these tutorials because they're a mix of videos and actual Canva designs, which is really fun and creative. And it's kind of just exploring these tutorials actually gives you another sense of how Canva can be used. So for example, this tutorial opens up an actual Canva design, and you can go through the design and use it as you learn. Another really good Canva learning resource is from their homepage. It's this Help Center, this button on the top right. And this is where you can find every Canva guide you could possibly need. So they have categories here, getting started using Canva, whether you need help editing text, grouping elements, or deleting your account, you're gonna find everything here. So as you're getting used to Canva, or if you just need help with graphic design in general, you'll wanna look at the Learning tab and the Canva Help Center. There is one more help resource in Canva, and that's this Help Center at the bottom right. This one will actually be available to you whether you're here in the homepage or you're actually in a design. And we'll look at that a little bit more once we're actually designing, but just know that wherever you are in Canva, there's a lot of places to find help. And that actually, I want to point out some things about how Canva is structured. It can look overwhelming because there is a lot of information, there's a lot of resources, but at the same time, it's often a lot of the same information presented different ways or with different access points. So for example, you have templates up here, which is one of Canva's most powerful tools, I'd say. Templates, they have them for pretty much anything you can think of. So for social media, they have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook sizes, whether you're making presentations, posters, flyers, you can explore templates. And they're actually here on your homepage as well. And you can browse this way. But we'll get more into templates when we're actually doing the design. Just know that Canva likes to present information a lot of ways. Another thing Canva does, which is really cool, is that it updates pretty frequently. So some of the tools that we might mention that aren't available today that will just kind of show up in 2 weeks. So they're constantly updating and upgrading the site features. I've never seen them take away any features, only add, but they do sometimes change the layout. So for example, the creative design, which is now in the top right, actually used to be over here on the left. So just be aware that if you see some changes on the page layout, don't assume that that tooler feature has gone away. It's probably just moved. All right. So a couple more features to point out on the home page is Team is a really fun tool that Canva has. So if you want to collaborate on designs with someone, you'll need to add them to your team. And to do that, you'll find your team on the left and then go to people. And you can send them an invitation via email, or you can get a link and just email them the link. And by adding people to your teams, you can share designs, they can edit designs, you can send comments back and forth. And it's really how you can collaborate on creating campaigns or whatever it is you're using Canva for. If you're a teacher, it might be useful. You can add your students to your team so that you can get these, whether you're making lesson plans or worksheets for them, it's a really easy way to share with them. Another aspect of Teams that's not available in the free version of Canva, but is worth mentioning, is the brand kit. So you can upload your brand logo, you can add fonts, and you can create color palettes. You can actually create as many palettes as you want. And then all of these elements would be shared with people in your team to use. So if you have a small group of people working on one social media account, you can make sure you're using the same elements to create a cohesive brand. We'll quickly look at the folders before we get into the design page. We'll see this when we go into the design, but there are options to purchase elements or images. If you do that, they'll end up here in your purchase folder. Looking at elements and photos, you can save them for later if you don't want to use them in a design at the time that you find them. They'll end up in this folder. You can upload your own photos from your device. They'll be here in your folders, and you can create your own folders here. If you're part of a team, the designs that are shared between you and your team members will be here in your Shared With You folder. All right, I think we're ready to start getting into the design page. So first we'll just talk about kind of how this page is laid out, some of the tools that are here, and then we'll actually start designing and using these features. So this menu at the top, there's a file menu like on pretty much any document you'd have. You can rename your design up here. Here are some options for the design page. So depending on your needs, you can add a ruler, you can add margins. Not all of these are necessary. I don't actually use these, mostly because when you're in a design, it kind of shows some of these things depending on where you're moving your elements. So for example, margins tool, will come up when I'm moving this around. That pink box, that's the same as if we had just kept the margins on. So there are still ways to see where you are spacing wise in your design without keeping these filters on, because I think they're actually a little bit distracting. You can save your design here, but Canva actually constantly saves your design for you. I've never actually intentionally saved the design, and you can see that right here, all changes saved. If I had made a change, you'll see unsaved changes, but if you tried to exit the page before all changes were saved again, it would actually give you a warning. So there's really no risk of losing any of your work. You can also undo pretty much limitlessly. So from the time that you open a design page, you can undo everything that you undo or redo anything that you've done in the design. If you had a design open a couple days ago and then closed it, you wouldn't be able to redo only what you've had open at the time. But that can still go back many, many, many steps, so that can be useful. Here is just another place that you can rename this design. Let's see. Here's where you can share with your team members. This download is how you'd get the design saved to your device. You can choose how to download it, whether you want a PNG or JPEG, a PDF, or if it's something with moving pieces, it can be a video or a GIF. If you have a design with multiple pages, such as this one, you can select which page you want to download, or you can select all the pages or just a couple of the pages. If you are going to download more than one page, just know that it's going to download as a zipped folder. And you'll just have to extract those items when it's downloaded. We don't really need to do that. All right. The second part of Canva's design menu is kind of based on whichever element you're using or editing. So you'll see here, when I click on this, it opens up all the options that will edit this element. So since this is text-based, it's gonna give me the font options. Canva has a lot of free fonts. Let's see, why is it doing this? Oh, here you go. So you can browse through all the fonts here. You'll notice that these fonts with the little crown mean that they're only available for the Pro account, but anything without the crown is freely available. And you can just click on it to change the font. You can change the size here by typing in numbers or just scrolling through like any document. Here's where you can change the color. Canva has all these default colors, and then they'll add in the document colors. So if this was the only page in this design, it would probably only show blue and white colors because that's what would be in the design. But on all these other pages in the design, there are all these other colors, and Canva's saying, okay, here are those exact colors to match to your design. And then if you upload a photo, it'll include some of those colors as well. And that's relatively new, but it's pretty fun. Lots and lots of room for color customization here. If you know the color code, you can enter it, or you can just, find whatever hue you'd like. I'm gonna undo some of this.
One quick question somebody had is if you're able to filter for just free fonts, or if you have to kind of scroll through and look at the paid for ones too.
That's a good question. You can't filter by free or premium. Strangely, if you have a Pro account, you can filter by free or paid for features, and there are simply more free features in the Pro account, but from the free version, you kind of just have to keep an eye out. But the thing that'll happen is if you do try to change, well, you can't use a Pro font, but if we were to use a photograph that wasn't free, it'll keep the watermarks on it, and it'll tell you that when you try to download it that you won't be able to get a version without the watermarks. So it'll kind of stop you from using things that aren't free anyway. Okay, you can change colors here. Depending on the font, you can bold or italicize it. That's just based on the font. I don't think that has anything to do with Canva account settings. You can change the text positioning here within the text box. You can change the uppercase to lowercase. Again, that usually depends on the font. Here you can add bullet points, as you see I've done for some spots of this text. This spacing is really, really useful. Some fonts, the line heights are like crazy wide. So you can change them depending on your needs or depending on what you like about the font that you choose. You can also change the letter spacing. All right, effects. This is actually really new. They didn't have effects on fonts even a couple weeks ago, but it's pretty fun. You can add shadows, and you can even, you can customize the effects pretty well here. This doesn't work awesome in this font, but depending on what you're playing with, you can add some cool effects. Another cool thing that's actually pretty new is Canva. It used to be that any text in a box had to be the same if it was on the same line. Now, even this text within the same box can be different fonts, and it didn't used to be that way. If you'd wanted the word basics to be different, you'd have to have it in a different text box. But now you can actually change the colors and fonts of individuals within the text box, which is pretty cool. There's a small menu on the actual page within a design. So here you could change the page name if you wanted to, and this might be most useful if you have a lot of pages and you're working collaboratively with someone. You can just title what each of these are. You can add notes. Since this design is a presentation, it's telling me that the notes will be displayed in a presenter view. But if this were a social media design or any other kind of design, the notes would just be there for either for you or for the person that you're going to share this with. You can also add, oh, let's hold on, but we'll get to that later. But anyway, you can change the order of your design with these buttons here. You can duplicate pages, change a couple things about this, like just some text. Here's how you delete a page, and then you can add a page too. And anytime you add a page from a page that has a design on it, it's going to duplicate the background. So this page had this dark background. It kept that when I added a new page. If I don't want that, I'll just click and delete it so that it's a blank page. All right. And then this menu over here you can zoom in or out of your design. You can look at all of your pages in the design in a more streamlined way. You can't edit from this view, but if if these were all part of a series, you could kind of compare them more easily. If they were something that was, that needed to look similar, you could line them up and view them this way. To get out of that view, you just exit. And then here's full screen view. And here down here is the help center that I'd mentioned before. So if you're in a design and you don't remember how to edit text, just type that in here. And it's going to offer, some guide options. And then a how-to. So right in the design, you can get that support, which is pretty cool. Now the more fun elements. So templates we talked about a little bit, but these are really useful because they can give you design inspiration. If you don't know what you want your design to look like, or you don't want to start from a blank slate, it's really fun to just choose a design and then you can simply customize the elements within the template. And we'll do that in real time in just a little bit. But if you're in a design and you want to find templates, you'll do that up here on the left. If you're looking for the images you've uploaded from your device, they're here. You can find free photos. And if this was a pro account, you could filter by free or premium images. You can't do that from a free account, but you'll see that an image that's only accessible for a pro account will be denoted as such. But these are all free. To use a photo, you just click on it and it'll pop into whichever page you had selected. If you really love this photo but don't want to use it in this design, you can click the three dots and then click add to likes. And that's going to add it to your likes folder, which you can access from all your folders from the home page. And that's just kind of a way to, if you want to use the image later, it's a quick way to find it. But you can always just find it by searching for cats. The elements are more like vector images, icons, shapes, frames, etc. And when we get into the designing, we'll start going through these and using them. But they're really, really fun ways to, add flair to your designs. Here's how you can add text to your design. It kind of gives you these presets for text, but you can change and edit text size no matter which of these you choose. And then here it just has some fun text elements to add. And they're actually editable. I didn't even know. Cool. You can add music to your design. Most of these are going to be available for the pro account only, but if you're making like a really short video to promote something on social media, you can add some basic music to it, and we'll get into videos a little bit more later, but anything that you're going to find here is going to be free for you to use. Canva did the work of checking copyright, and anything that's here is available for your social media needs. Backgrounds are fun, so you can use. Go ahead.
About the music, somebody was asking if you can add your own music to videos.
You can't in the free version. You may be able to upload music in the pro version, but that's not actually something that I've messed around with, so I'm not sure, but let's see. About upload. Yeah, I think that any music that you're going to use as Canva is supplied by Canva. I don't think that even pro accounts have the option to upload music, but that's a good question. Okay, so you can search backgrounds, and by clicking on a background, it'll insert it as the background to the page that you're on, but you can use any image as a background. So if I wanted this to be my background, it's not gonna set it that way automatically because it's a photo, but you can extend it to the ratio of your design, and you have a new background. But the backgrounds are, they're really useful, and they're also editable. So you can crop and change them pretty much like any photo. You just can't use them as a photo, like anything that you see in the design, anything you see in the background section, it's gonna put into your design as a background, not as a movable photo. All right, let's get something better back here. All right. You can add charts here, and they're customizable. So you can edit them here. You can change the colors here. And you can even upload data sets, I believe. So you can paste your data set from an Excel spreadsheet, which is pretty cool. Here you can get to your folders, your likes and purchased items. This is another thing that's relatively new. If you go to more, you can get styles, and they have colors and fonts. So this is Canva kind of helping me improve my design. So I'll say, let's try this font combination. And it's going to change it for me. So it chose to change this was a header text, so it changed that to the header font that they chose, and then the body text to this Barlow Bold font that they chose. And if I want them to change the color scheme, it's not going to change the background elements because that's something that, I guess the colors preset, but these aspects will just change your elements that you put in. This doesn't look great though. Okay, so let's get into designing. So this is a tutorial that I've kind of edited for the purposes of this class, but you can find this in the design school in the Canva tutorials. And we're just going to go through some of this so you can see how to find the elements and how to customize them a little bit more. So insert a shape, then change it to your favorite color. So shapes are going to be in elements, and I'll choose a circle, but we could choose any of these shapes. I'll do this one. And you see how when I'm moving it there, the lines are showing up. So that is the center line. Here it's showing me the margins. And you can also change the position instead of trying to guess where is like the exact middle of this design. If you click position up here, you can put it at the top, you can put it in the middle, you can put it on the right, etc. I'll change the color. All right, let's put a hat on this monkey. So since this monkey is a vector image, we can assume that they found it in the element. It's not a photo. I'm going to search for hat here in elements. We'll see that these aren't available to us from the free version, but all these other ones are. So let's do a fancy one. You'll see here in the corners, if you drag, you can resize. For the pretty much all pre-made Canva elements, like any of the these icons, you won't be able to change the size ratio. So you can't just make it wider or taller. You'll have to change the whole size, which really I think is for the best. If I had put this hat in before I had the monkey, it would probably be behind the monkey. So you can change where things are spaced relative to other elements also in position. You can move them backward or forward. All right, add a background. In the Pro account, there are more filtering options in pretty much all of these resources here. So for backgrounds, they would have abstract, landscapes, and other categories, but you could also just search for that. So if you want something with texture, put that in there right as the background. Actually, let's choose a different one. If there was one that had, let's see. So if I want more of these colors on the page, I can change the size. And now this is really my background. It's not exactly as it looked before. So you can edit backgrounds even though they kind of go right into the whole design. You can change elements here. This probably is low transparency. See, the transparency is only 22, so it's really hard to see that item over the background. So if you would increase the transparency, now it's in front. Here is a frame. So search for fruit and then put it into the frame. We'll go to photos. We'll find a piece of fruit. Wow, looks good. All right, so first it's going to put the image into line, but by dragging it over the frame, it'll actually put it into the frame. And you can change the ratios and crop that image as well. Grouping elements is something that's really useful, and it's also something you're going to see a lot in templates. So we're going to group these two elements so that we can move them around together. So to do that, I'm going to drag the 5 onto the circle. It looks like that is centered, but it might not be. So if I want to make sure that the 5 is exactly in the center of the circle, let me make this a little bigger. I'll put it on here. So the 5 is selected. I'm going to hold Shift and select both pieces. Why isn't this working? Here we go. And then I can group them. Well, sorry, first I'm going to position them. center middle. So that puts the 5 right in the center middle of the circle instead of the actual page because I selected both those elements. So it's putting them in position relative to each other. With them selected, you can group them so that way they move together and they change size together. So when there's more elements on a page, you'll see how this can be really useful. All right, let's customize a template. So if you're in a design and you want to open a template, you can select one from here and it'll ask you if you want to replace the current page you have or add a new page. Never hurts to add a new page. And now we will customize it. So you'll see these are all separate elements. These are grouped elements, and I know that because I clicked on this text box, but it's showing me borders of these other text boxes. So these are all grouped together. If you want to edit just one of these pieces, you can ungroup it. And now they won't move together, but we can regroup if we need to. I'm going to get rid of these elements. Let's see. Gonna add some patterns. And see how the line height here is pretty wonky. If I don't want it to take up that much space, I can make it smaller. You could also type in here if you wanted to. Now, if I want to regroup these elements into a nicer alignment and position, I can select them all by grabbing them this way. I'm going to go to position and I'm going to put them all on the left, and I'm going to make sure that they're spaced vertically so that it puts even spaces between each of these elements. So if I had something like this, you can change it to get evenly spaced. Something to note about that is that it's being based on the first and last elements. So since I have the join us up here, and it's going to put the Kaya language right in the middle. If I move this up, now that's the new reference spot for the bottom and top of the grouped elements. And regroup. I can move them around without worrying. Let's get rid of some of these elements. I'm going to go back to styles, which is in more, and see what kind of colors Canva can suggest for me. So it even changed the colors here on the pattern element. Oops. And if you keep clicking this, it'll shuffle and just change the elements with these colors that are shown. Something to know about customizing elements such as the patterns and vector icons like this, not all of them will be changeable. So this one does, you can change the colors, but some of them you won't be able to. But if that is something that you want to edit, you'll just click on it, and if it's editable, the color palette will show up here, and as many different colors as you have options for, you'll be able to change. All right, now let's recreate this template from scratch. I think that it's useful to show you how to do this so that if there is an element that you see on a template, maybe you'll figure out how to find it instead of just having, just gives you more leeway to change the templates. So this is also, we're just going to look at how this template is built. Let's look at the different elements. So this is an image right in the middle. I can see that it's been cropped because when I double click it, I get this this extra space. So this shows me that the image was dragged into the middle here and cropped so that it was a square. This is just a square down and put on its side and then text around it. So I'm gonna make a new page. I'm going to, actually I'll just copy and paste this right into my design. So I'm gonna hit Control C, I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna hit Control V. And that will put it exactly into the spot that it was in the previous design, which is cool. But maybe I want this color to be over here. So I'm gonna drag it. Or maybe I actually want it to be straight. So I'm gonna change the position and I'm just gonna put it on the side. You can copy and paste this image, but let's put in another image. Copy. Okay. And if we want this to be more centered, we can crop it. We'll hit crop up here and drag these in, hit enter, and there it is. Gonna make sure it's center and middle. So now that I've gone to position and these are grayed out, that means that it's already in the center and middle of the page. Oops. And then you can add text here. And you can change the text positioning, etc. All right, so here's some of the even more fun stuff, stickers and animations. So these are more things that are going to be in the elements section. You can go to elements and scroll down to stickers and then hit see all. So this is really fun for social media because you can make, moving social media pieces. So this is taking a minute to load. But basically, so you can put those in here, and that's something that I did in this presentation. You'll see that these are moving elements. In order for the elements to stay moving once you download it, you just have to be careful how you're saving the design. So since this one has moving pieces, I'll want to make sure that I download page 12 as a GIF. So to do that, you go to download in the top right. I'm going to change it to select GIF, and I'm going to select page 12. That'll download it so that when I put it in my social media platform, it's not a video that starts and stops. It's just continuously showing that this piece is animated. You can also animate, I put in quotations, some of your more basic elements. So this isn't something that I've used a lot, but it's probably worth exploring. You can, animate the text. So you'll do that. And this is actually relatively new to Canva. So you could select block, tumble, and then your elements are going to move on the page. And you'll have to also download as either a video or a GIF so that it stays that way. And very quickly, let's explore videos because it can be pretty useful. So instead of continuing to work in this design layout, I'm going to go and find I'm going to just start from scratch, because anything in this design, if we were to turn this into a video, it would be more like a PowerPoint presentation. It's just going to play each slide for a couple of seconds. So I'm going to start, I'm going to make a Instagram. And you'll see here, if you search, it'll pull up options for the size, but then here are actually even more templates. So if I were to click this, oh, it didn't give me the template, or maybe it's just loading. All right. Videos. So here's where you'll find Canva's videos. Kind of like the music, these are pre-made, pre-selected. I have not seen yet that there's an option to upload your own videos, even in the Pro account. I'm gonna put this in here and set it to fit my design page. By clicking on it so that it's selected, you'll see here you can crop, you can flip it, or you can change the length of the video. So this itself would play for 29 seconds, but I'm going to crop it down to 4. Gonna add some text. Then I'm going to just duplicate this page and edit the text. And now, since I want the video to continue from how it was playing in this first slide, I'm going to crop it and move it to where the previous page left off. So the first one went from 0 to 4 seconds. I'm going to start this one at 4 seconds, or 4.1, and then have it play for a couple seconds. Here I just created a new page, but it kept the background for me. So I'm going to add more text. And then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to have this video leave off where the previous page did. Okay. And you can add other elements too. Let's try a sticker. If this was in the Pro account, you could filter by static images, moving images, etc. But unfortunately, in the free version, there's not as much filtering you can do. That's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to change the transparency of the background and the font. If this was really different font and I didn't want to edit another page, but I wanted it to match, there's this copy style tool. So you'll select which text elements you want to copy the style for first, and then click the brush. And now by clicking the text box I want to change, it'll match what the previous text box had. I'm going to do that again and change this transparency. And let's see how this looks. So maybe 4 seconds is a little bit long. I'm going to cut it down. And I'm going to add some animation. All right. And you can apply this to all the pages. Oops. So that all of the elements will block in like that. But if you wanted them to be different, this page I could do a fade instead. So let's see how this looks. And then you would simply just download this as a video rather than a GIF. So really quickly, I want to show you just a couple of the pro features that I use a lot. Something that's really useful is their resize tool. So if this, this is a square design, but if I wanted this to also be like a Facebook event header or a Twitter post, which is more of a horizontal layout, I'll just go to resize and I can find both of those. So I can make it an Instagram story, I can make it a Twitter post, I can search for Facebook event. It'll make a Facebook event cover. And now I'll hit copy and resize. It's going to open each design in a new tab, but that's all I have to do. It kept everything and it just fit it into the new size. Sometimes you'll have to mess with the layout a little bit, but it does make it a lot easier than having to restructure the designs kind of more manually. The background remover is really, really fun, and that's pretty new. Let me show you. So this can be for a photo that you have uploaded or a photo that you find, but you can go to Effects and click Background Remover. And anyone who's worked in Photoshop or other actual design programs, you'll know that it's kind of a big deal to have a free tool that does this so easily. And then there we go. I have this cat that I can put in any setting now. Here I'll show you quickly the filtering. So you can filter by orientation, which doesn't matter too much because you can end up changing the photo size anyway. But if you want something that is horizontal or vertical, we can find that. We can search just by free images, and that's what we'll get. So here's all vertical cats, yay. And then the brand kit we talked about a little bit, but that's something that is really useful for your team. For example, the library brand kit, we have all of our logos, we have our brand colors, brand fonts, which were uploaded. And then everyone who's in our team has access to these so that when they're creating their designs, we can make sure that we're all using the same colors, logos, etc. And that is pretty much the end of this lesson. Does anyone have more Canva questions?
Alex, I learned so much. I can't promise my designs that I send you will be any better, but I am super excited about that background remover tool. If anybody has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Alex and I will be here for a few more minutes. I learned so much, Alex.
Yeah, and this was honestly, there's so many more things that I found preparing for this class that I didn't have time to get into, but as you get into Canva and start exploring, you'll find other tools, you'll find your own workflow, and the options really are limitless and it's really fun. So I hope that you all create a free account and become great graphic designers.
Yes, Canva has definitely been a useful tool at the library. I know when we introduced it a couple of years ago, it took our signs for our displays out of making them with like clip art and Word and making them look much more professional, which I'm sure people have been appreciated. Somebody is asking if there will be a Canva 102 class. Maybe. That's definitely something that we could probably schedule.
Yeah. Now that there's interest, good to know.
And the learning resources that Canva has built, like their design school, are also incredibly helpful if you're kind of looking to further your skills. I am not a graphic designer, so when I took those classes, it helped me understand like how to choose colors and fonts that complement each other a little better than what I would do in a normal day. Yeah,
it has a lot of really great learning resources. I really only ever used Paint and PowerPoint to make graphics of any kind, so this has really made it super easy. And I also feel like just by using it, I've learned and really improved as a graphic designer, which I'm not a graphic designer, but sometimes I feel that way thanks to Canva.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, like I said, Alex and I will be here for a few more minutes, but thank you everybody for joining us today. I will upload a recording of this talk and make it available on the library's YouTube channel. And I will send that out an email to everybody next week as soon as it's available. So thanks so much for coming, and I hope you all have a great weekend.